and in dumping grounds that have grown into mountains of garbage heap, even in our capital city. The garbage heap of our capital city is about to cross the height of Qutub Minar. On the other hand, we have to cater to the city's need for the expansion to accommodate the natural increase in population as well as the migration that the cities are attracting as economic magnets for all classes of Indians. And then each city is impacted by and has to deal with a very large regional, national and global set of forces. The changing dynamic economy and shifting job patterns, climate change, and the resulting shocks and strains on cities, mass labor migrations, food production, and so on. As per the HPC report that was headed by Dr. Ahluwalia, which we still use and quote as all the assessments, the requirement for building the required infrastructure and servicing it over the next 15 years till 2030 will be an upwards of 50 lakh crores of rupees. At the current rate of expenditure on the urban sector, which we have tried to calculate through all the governmental sectors, state and center together, including the devolutions of Finance Commission, will cover less than 1/3 of that requirement, even if the projections are taken off over 2050 and 30. The only way then we can meet this urban challenge is to enable, facilitate, encourage and nudge our cities to change the way they have been doing business. They have to move away from the paradigm of total dependence on central and state governments for capital funding of grants for building new infrastructure. They will have to learn to mobilize resource from every possible avenue, from public and private sources, from whoever is willing to invest in India's demographic dividend and its urban phenomenon. In order to find the remaining 2/3 of requirement of this investment, our municipal commissioners and mayors will have to be more creative and innovative. Urbanization will have to be planned differently and more frugal in its consumption of resources. Clearly, that is not the present reality. As the first New Climate Economy report revealed so compellingly, the style of planning adopted by our city planners and public policy makers has been excessively resource intensive. For example, we did not provide for public transport, resulting in urban sprawls. The World Bank study of nightlights revealed that our urban footprint was spread way beyond the 4,000 towns. These have almost merged with another set of 4,000 panchayats, which are technically called census towns, after enveloping numerous villages and form an urban sector with a staggering scale of 8,000 centers in the country, holding a total of 370 million people and having populations ranging from 10,000 to 20 million and more. As a result of this urban-rural continuum, the subcontinent is now crisscrossed with urban corridors and dotted with emerging urban centers, megacities, and sprawling metropolitan regions. While we have assumed a clean urban-rural divide in all our planning, we now find that the urban and rural are intimately connected, while at the same time representing two very different economic and social realities. But managing this kind of shift to a new planning paradigm has to contend with the enormous capacity constraints in our urban local bodies. We have simply not planned for this. We did not perhaps imagine a shortage of this magnitude that we today need almost 20 times the urban planners we have and many times the engineers we have. Belatedly, there is a recognition that cities are an opportunity, not a burden. They are the centers of innovation and have been for centuries. They are the engines of economic growth. While designing and promoting the new urban missions, and I refer specifically to the Swachh Bharat mission, to the mission for 100 smart cities, and for the basic infrastructure of 500 cities, the Amrit Mission, we have been mindful of the fact that we have been given a rare opportunity to align the goals of urban development with the global goals and objectives. These missions were conceptualized on the principles entrusted in the SDGs, the New Urban Agenda, and the climate agreements reached at Paris and Marrakesh. We are pursuing an aggressive reforms agenda by providing a significant kitty of funds that can incentivize implementation of reforms in letter and spirit. These reforms touch the most neglected areas of the urban ecosystem: the governance and the leadership of the cities, the spatial and physical planning, the improvement in financial self-reliance, both through tax and non-tax initiatives, including value capture financing, and most importantly, the building of capacity to deliver on these goals. If we are able to provide sufficient incentives to the states and cities to reform and perform and pursue a path of political and financial self-reliance, then we can possibly be on a path of better planned, better designed, and better executed urban development. These will be, by nature, more efficient. Just for an example, a major initiative of the ministry links to replacement of all water pumps in 500 cities to convert them to more energy efficient replacement system at no capital cost. This replacement will save massive amount of power as well as reduce the footprints of our cities. The cost of the pumps will be recovered through savings in the energy over a period of 5 to 7 years. The urban challenge in India requires the judicious application of speed, scale, and skill throughout the ecosystem. Under Amrit, the water supply and sewerage projects are being designed for their full life cycle, which automatically paves the way for better design and better project planning. This is essential to reap the benefits of project execution by private agencies to develop integrated projects which are sustainable. We are looking to reduce the carbon footprint of urban development by leveraging the benefits of open and big data with the Internet of Things and smart sensor-based technologies. These are essential elements of any smart city proposal. The ministry is also promoting a policy environment that is, in effect, a decoupling of urban policy from the resource-intensive style of urban development to economize our resource consumption. We are aggressively pushing for e-commerce and complete removal of human intermediation in civic-facing services, and this includes the process of providing environmental clearances. The urban local bodies should themselves measure their carbon footprint and decide about the sustainability of their path of urban transformation. By anchoring the decisions about the use of money at the local level, as was seen in the Smart City Mission, Ministry has opted for strengthening the capacity of the urban local bodies to shape their own destiny. This is the key objective of the 74th Amendment of our Constitution and also the spirit of local self-governance. We are currently studying the entire apparatus of land management in our cities. Urban land, meaning service land that is fit for habitation, is a crucial limiting factor in trying to achieve the goals of sustainable development. And improved land management is tied to land economics as well as improved planning. So you can imagine how this challenge has many facets. While we improve our governance, planning and finance, we must ensure that the process is driven by knowledge. While we train our new generations of planners who can walk the talk of sustainability, we must promote evidence-based research that can inform our policies and implementation strategies. The new climate economy report on India's urbanization will, I am sure, contribute greatly to this evidence-based research that we require in the present and in the future. I and my colleagues in the Ministry of Urban Development look forward to making full use of this report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Monloy. We do hope that the report will find a way into policy discourse. May I now request Dr. Nicholas Stern, Co-Chair, Global Commission on Economy and Climate, for his special address. Thank you, Dr. Stern.
Thank you. On behalf of the New Climate Economy, the Global Commission on... Is this working?
Yes.
The device is to press the button that turns it on. I'd like to share with Naina, on behalf of the Global Commission on Economy and Climate, or New Climate Economy, thanks to ICRIER for the very fruitful collaboration on this very important report. So Isha and Rajat, thank you, and all your colleagues at ICRIER, thank you so much. It's a very fruitful product. Now, I can't resist a very slight reminiscence. There are two people in this room I've known for more than 40 years, and Isha and Kirit. And if I think how far all this discussion of policy has come in this time, I think it's a very cheerful occurrence. And I have to say that at that time in 1974, we used to stay in the YWCA on Parliament Street, and then we used to come here to the IIC for a splurge. This was a really luxurious environment, so it's very nice to be staying here again after a number of decades. And it's exactly what it was like in 1974. But no, you don't come here for old men reminiscing. I wanted to start with the big picture of where all this stands in the future of the world. This next 20 years is absolutely decisive for where we will be during this century. This next 20 years will determine whether this century is the best of centuries or possibly the worst. Just look at the numbers. And Naina already began that. But if the world economy grows at roughly 3%, it's probably not a bad guess. That means it doubles in roughly 2 decades. The infrastructure will more than double, as Naina emphasized, in that time. So here's the question. Will this new economy that we're adding, will this more than 100% of the infrastructure which we will be adding, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 extra on the infrastructure, the decimal point doesn't matter here. Will this be a new economy, the extra economy, the doubling, the more than doubling of the infrastructure? Will it be like the infrastructure that we've had in the past, dirty, congested, not very smart? Will it be like that? Or will it be modern and clean and smart or not? That's a huge question. If it's the former, if it looks a bit like what we've been doing in the past, this next 20 years, you can forget about holding to 2 degrees, probably forever, because of the kinds of emissions it locks in. You will be sentenced to cities where you can't move and you can't breathe and you can't be productive. I mean, it's not advisable to breathe in Delhi. I know many of you do it, but we can change that. We can really change that. But I worry sometimes that the urgency of this next 20 years is not sufficiently understood. What I've just said to you, I've said before, and people say, yes, I mean, the basic arithmetic of this is incontrovertible. Yes, it is urgent, and if we miss it now, we're in deep trouble. And then they carry on with their policy-making lives as if you haven't said anything at all. So this is absolutely critical. Now, of course, India in this story